someone has been sitting around in an energy. It's reflective, but it's also regretful. Decisions that were made that caused them to be either like where they are or maybe who they are. And they are not sure if the journey was worth it. Because even if there are people around this person, they feel alone. These cards don't look bad for the energy that I'm picking up. This upside down Three of Swords, I think that they're healing from things that maybe either they thought they had healed from already, or things that they don't want to look at. I think maybe partly because they did think they healed from it and it was hard to look at before. And so now sometimes when we're trying to heal, we start thinking about things again. You know, even if we think, oh, I thought I healed from this. The way that we look at it the second time around is a little bit different. And so sometimes it can be a little bit more grating. And then it's kind of clear of why it's coming up again, because that wound that we're finding is deeper than the other wound that we thought we healed. And it doesn't feel good, first of all, but also sometimes it's like a realization after a realization. And then at the same time, you're not even yourself when you're looking at it. So you're not the self you were when you experienced it. So it's harder to look at. It's obviously it's good for you, because when you clear out stuff that you don't want to deal with, you tend to bring in other stuff that you do want to deal with. You know, I saw this card when it first came out as cutting out that stuff, making decisions to just say, you know, I'm not gonna. You know, sometimes when we decide that we should have more energy than we do, but people are taking it, we start realizing how not to give it. It keeps coming up like in daily situations, and we have to keep reminding ourselves, oh no, I'm not going to engage in this. I'm going to let this play out without me having to get involved. I also think that this person, it's funny because with everything that I just said, yeah, they feel like they were involved, like they got too involved in something. It might not even be related to like the situation that I'm picking up right now. It could be something that's related in their head because they made a decision that they regret. They want to talk about it. They want to talk about it. They want to talk about it with you. So I don't think they're done thinking about it. I think that maybe in a sense they're done thinking about it because they don't feel like they can come up with anything different than what they've come up with. You know, they need help. Like they need another perspective or another insight on the situation. Like they can't move any more forward with what they have. It's sort of not true. Yeah. Wouldn't be a bad thing for somebody to step in and give them some perspective on their current situation, but ultimately, even if someone was to step in and help, they're going to have to go through what they're going to have to go through to clear it out. So all we're talking about here is, you know, an helping hand or a lending ear. Like there's nothing that anyone can do for this person. It's just part of the process. Yeah. And I think this is the Death card too. Here, let's take a look. Transformation, new beginning. Yeah. It's talking about a cycle, and it's talking about, you know, ending so that you can have a new beginning. This has to go for the thing that the person originally wanted to, for the thing that the person originally wanted in a relationship and for their life. This has to go so that that can come in. I don't know that they're fully aware of that just yet, because they're regretting that they have to go through this. Yeah. They're regretting that they had to go through what they had to go through, and then they're regretting that they have to go through this to get over that, because they lost some stuff. And again, they may not realize that some of that stuff that they lost, they probably had no business keeping anyway, especially if they were trying to go somewhere that wasn't, I was going to say, that doesn't suck. This could be you. This could be your significant other. I feel like if this is someone else, then it's someone that you're not talking to. So let's get some, let me see if I can pick anything else up from these cards. No, it's kind of like what I said, everything that I said, they're just experiencing over and over again. Like, it's a regret loop that is kind of, actually the ideas behind it aren't 100% true, because I think it's easier to believe in them, because then it can feel like this thing that they're going through isn't like theirs, for lack of a better word. Like, it's almost like it's kind of not fair, and it's not in any like real narcissistic way. It's just more of like I think this person really feels like they wouldn't have had to experience the pain to go, like, to heal, or to go, like almost like it's a little much. Yeah, and if they were in a relationship, they're not anymore. I'm using song lyrics. This is a song lyric deck. I think right now there's like 88 cards in this deck, and I'll probably add a little bit more before I close it out. Yeah. They want to talk. They want to step forward. They want to talk to you, but they, like I said, they know that they see this shift that's happening, this thing that's leaving, that they were somehow still holding on to, and maybe even didn't want to let go of necessarily. They were hanging on to energy that wasn't necessarily theirs to hang on to anymore. And it was causing even if they were thinking about another perspective, or you, or someone to talk to, they felt like they were kind of stuck in this, this place that I don't think they wanted to take you. Yeah. If it wasn't them, it was like someone around them, and they weren't going to bring you into that, and that's part of the reason for the silence. A lot of times it is, and a lot of times we want to get involved. We're like, oh, we want to help, and we want to do all this stuff, But the fact of the matter is, the reason why we're not in it is because we're not meant to be in it, is either because we've already learned that situation in our life and we don't have that in our life anymore. And it's a possibility that in our head at one point, even if we've forgotten, we silently vowed that we were never going to go through that again. And so the universe protects us from having to go through it. And some of us really don't deserve it anyway. If we've done the work and we've gone through things and we've passed them, then ultimately there's no reason for us to let people in our life who are still going through that. They're just going to take us with them when they do all this, and taint the situation, not only us and us at the time, but the situation between us. And so a lot of times when we're trying to like unite or reunite, we don't want that. I mean, some people don't see the significance in ruining it before it starts, but a lot of people do, even if they don't like consciously understand it. They understand it energetically, that it's starting out now in this like weird place. And some people already know they're in a weird place, and they already know like sometimes that you're not, and they know that they're going to have to bring you to their weird place if they want to meet And because they can't get out of it right now. That was the whole point of sitting here going, gosh, do I really have to go through this? Like, this is kind of a lot. I already had to do the thing, and then I thought I did the thing, and then I don't know what happened. Look at that. We have our King of Swords again. And they're just like, I'm done. I am so tired of this, sitting around thinking about this situation in a way that is keeping me to where I'm either moving 2 steps forward and 1 step back, or every time I want to move a step forward, I'm afraid. Not afraid, like to the point where, we don't step forward or there's like actual fear, but I mean more even like just a fear to step forward. So it's almost like this, like, well, should I step forward? Okay, well, I stepped forward. Okay, well, nothing happened, so maybe I should step forward again. God forbid they hear a noise or something and they step backwards. So it's kind of like this, well, I don't really know, like, is it time? Should I say something to someone? With the cards on the table, it's actually not showing me. Let me see. Should I say something to someone? Okay, well, something's weird. I just got that they're intimidated. For some reason, that's not what that card means, but that's what I picked up from it. Yeah, this like back and forth, I want to say something, but I'm sitting in this stuff, and that person that I'm trying to talk to isn't sitting in this stuff. And what if I come and I bring this stuff that person doesn't necessarily need to sit in, and then I'm that person, who's, by the way, is still going to be wanting something out of the situation, but now has somehow tainted it to the point where it's a little bit harder. Being single doesn't necessarily qualify me for having a relationship with the Empress. Just depends on where I am. A lot of times I know where I am, and I have this like idea of like now or never, and it doesn't have to be. Yeah. So yeah, they made a mistake. They either chose someone. There's no someone else here on the table. That person seems to be gone now. Or is on their way out the door, but we seem to be past this here. I mean, there could be, sometimes with people who do create drama, there's no such thing as gone. Yeah. This person might be showing up in your dreams. And maybe sometimes in situations that are unwanted, like coming in, making themselves known and then dipping out. And then meanwhile, you're kind of like, hey, what's going on? Like, we're going back and forth here. And they're kind of like, well, I couldn't stay away. So I kind of just came and, and then I'm gone again. Ouch. So either this seems like you, again, with the back and forth energy, with the being somewhere else, other than where this other person is, wherever this Empress is, knowing full well that you're not there, but not doing anything about being there necessarily. And you being at a point where you're kind of like, the story is getting a little old. Like, I'm not even sure if you're really my match, because my match wouldn't like hang around and do this. It might be true. It might be something else. I feel like to a certain extent that this table isn't big enough for all the things that are going on with this particular situation and with this person. What I would say to you is to, you have a choice. You could send this person energy, which I don't necessarily recommend. You could pull your energy back, which is not a terrible idea. For 2 reasons. One is when you pull your energy back, a lot of times if they don't feel your energy anymore, then they may decide to step forward, or at least communicate, if not like commit, which again, communication is better than kind of sitting around and some energy that is just not even going to be compatible with where they want to be, and then just doing this like cycle thing. It's on the table. So it's kind of like, at this point, this person might need to communicate. If you send them energy, if you protect them in any way, first of all, I don't think they need too much protecting at this point. I think that maybe at this point they just need like protection from themselves. But on top of that, I feel like you make your situation worse because you have to wait longer, because you make this person's situation that they created, that they're sitting in, more tolerable for themselves. And the fact of the matter is, again, a lot of times when this is going on, everybody else that's like aware of the situation around it is tired. They're tired of it. They're tired of waiting. They're tired of waiting. They're like, what are you doing? Meanwhile, this person's like, hey, I'm here. And you're like, okay, where are you? You know, I want to be with you. I'm not exactly sure. I'm in like hell. So, you know, like I said, the choice is yours as far as how you want to deal with this person. Um, and there's no timetable on that. And I know you already know that. But you focusing on you is going to help you out anyway, because again, if this person is not getting your energy for help to sit in the situation that they're in, and you're focusing on you, then chances are you're going to pull their energy to want to focus on you too, or at least focus on themselves enough to where they can match your energy to where they are where you are, so they're not sitting in this. But either way, you kind of need to decide, if you're feeling their energy, how you're going to handle that if they're in this. Because if you don't want to be in that, if you've already gotten out of that, or you're just not willing to deal with anything less than what you want anymore, then having them have access to your energy isn't going to help you out. So keep that in mind. Until another time.